So we're going to be getting the underbelly on this front section of the Airstream back up and on. Obviously, before I do that, I need to get in here, get some new insulation in place, and then I also have to go around. There's a couple spots where like the old rivets need to get drilled out and cleaned up so I can get everything back into place. And then we will get this trim piece back up and sealed up and the new rubber in place. So the other thing I want to point out is I've been using fluid film on some like these outriggers and any bit of the frame that I really can't get into like super clean up. This soaks into the rust, stops what's already there and prevents it from getting any worse. So it's better than trying to hit it with spray paint or whatnot, because this will actually keep it from rusting any further. Everything under here is just kind of cosmetic rust, nothing, structural. So like I said, we're just treating it with this to make sure it doesn't get any worse. Good focus. I want to point out these drill stops are awesome. So what they do is just keep you from drilling too far. So especially like when we're doing the skins and whatnot, these will keep you from like the unforeseen accident of drilling through and actually going through the outside layer on accident. So this will stop the drill bit. So a great couple dollar investment. All right, so I got this cleat in. So obviously some of these are new holes, some are re-drilled. I just kind of worked my way across, get everything cleat in. That way I can assure everything's lined up and where I want it to be before actually riveting. And now we'll just start pulling one cleat at a time and rivet down we go. And that's it. Oh, that was anticlimactic. We got this panel, cleat coat all in place. So obviously now all I gotta do is get these riveted in. As you can tell, I already fluid filmed the frame on that back section and outriggers. So once I get this riveted in, make sure everything's all nice and tight, I will then fill that with insulation, and then we will pull this edge up and get it riveted up, and then we can get that trim installed all the way down. Sorry if you can hear my trusty little fan over there. It's literally 100 degrees and probably 100% humidity today, so I am a little warm. Just a smidge. But I'm excited to have the front of this frame, done, just because at least that way from the front it will kind of almost look like it's partially finished. I had to take a rain break. All I have left to do is get the piece of trim up and around, get that secured, and then I can put, you know, the black, you know, weather stripping, wear guard, whatever you want to call it, in, and then the front half is going to look pretty darn good. Alright, so didn't really beat the rain, but I did get the trim in. I did time lapse, didn't really film much because of the rain. As you can hear in the background, it's getting kind of angry out here, so I'm calling it for the day, and I'm gonna go take a shower because it was a disgustingly hot day in the sun. See you guys tomorrow. Welcome back, guys. So today we are going to be installing tanks. We have 3 different tanks that go into this. We have a freshwater, a black, and then a gray. I'm still on the fence if we're going to be doing the black tank or not. So let's get into this and find out what happens. So here's our lovely freshwater tank. This is going to be the first one I'm going to try to tackle. So I got to get some of this plumbing, you know, kind of situated before we go to try to get it back up underneath. I want to know a quick way to know that you've apparently left your back gate open a little bit too long. A bird started building a nest on the back of my toolbox. Alright, so we got our new water line supply for the water pump, new water fill line, and then a new breather tube, you know, all installed. I'm using the compression PEX fittings, you know, for all the plumbing on this. Let's, oh, and I also used spray foam instead of using the styrofoam that they used kind of as just like a blocker to keep the tank from shifting front and back. I did that on both sides, and we did decide we are not going to put the black tank in, mostly just because I don't want to have to cut that flange through. So this is going to be garbage. And just like that, I put a hole in the floor that I just put in. Imagine that. Like I said down below, we are going to be using a rib nut gun. So what this does is takes one of these, it threads on to here, and then it actually almost pretty much works like a rivet. It sucks this into the hole and sucks that down, which locks it in place. So it turns into a, you know, more or less a lock nut. You can tell it's got the threads inside. So this is what I'm using to secure that. These are stainless steel. I'm also using stainless steel bolts. It's not too bright, but I'm also using stainless steel bolts, washers, the whole kit and caboodle, just so I don't really ever have to worry about them again, and they come out easy if I ever do need to drop the tank. So let's get these installed. So I just wanted to show what a rib nut was. So obviously on this side it's flush. You can see if it will focus. It'll focus on my hand. But you can see the threads up and in there. And this top side, you can kind of see how it just mushrooms out on this side. And that's what keeps it, you know, locked in place, and then there's those little ribs that keep it from rotating. So we got the tank in. That sucked. So obviously getting that fresh water tank in between, there is not much room for a larger guy like myself to be getting under there. So I have my creeper, which might be 3 inches off the ground. Wasn't even able to use that because I needed like every little bit of inch that I had. So I have no idea as far as what I was actually able to capture with the GoPro under there, because again, there's just no room. But to just kind of like sum it up, the tank goes in and there are these metal straps that, you know, go up, and that's kind of, you know, the bolts go up through there, through the plastic, and then into those rib nuts that I used for the frame to hold everything up. I ended up, you know, cutting a hole in the floor, you know, just inside for the water fill, and then just a little, you know, breather. It's also where all of, you know, my main connections are going to kind of be made, is within that hole, the cabinets that, you know, that will eventually end up going up and into. Do I recommend this job? No, that sucked. That's probably the worst thing I've done so far in this thing. Not fun at all. Highly don't recommend. If you have a much smaller friend, send them under there. So today is going to be getting the underbelly and all of this. I am actually going to be removing those steps. So we are actually going to end up going with the fold up into the doorway. I just don't like the bounce that these type of steps, you know, kind of do when you're going in and out. And I just don't really like the look. And this is connection. So we are gonna, you know, replace that valve, come all the way out. I'm gonna end up just leaving the 3-inch stubbed out until the tank's actually mounted. That way I can trim it back to wherever I kind of need it to then put this on. That way it's not sticking too far out, or it's, you know, not too far in. So I got this valve taken apart. I am gonna reuse this inner flange just because, you know, it's completely fine. The only thing I do is want to make a note that there's this little gasket. Replace that. You know, you use the new one. When you're doing the plumbing, make sure you use like a deburring tool or a piece of sandpaper to get rid of all the burrs inside here, especially on, you know, more or less on black tanks, but even gray tanks. Just that little tiny burr in there will catch just about everything and cause things to build up and eventually clog. So make everything as streamlined as possible on the inside. Oh man, I am so ready to be done from under here. It's like next to impossible to film for you guys under here just because there's not even enough room for me. I mean, granted, I'm not exactly a small person, but I'm starting to get the underbelly in. Kind of see what's going on. Gray tank is in, underbelly is mounted along with that tank, using obviously the same bolts on that side. And I still have to get insulation in here, so I have the jack supporting it there. Obviously I'll be able to hold this down, get the insulation in, and then this will all get up, riveted in place, and then I will bring the outside panels out this way to finish off the underbelly. I may actually be able to get this done today. I shouldn't have said that out loud, but I'm feeling pretty good about it. So we finally got the underbelly done. Looks great. I still have a couple reflectors to stick on the backside and some sealants and whatnot to do, but huge project checked off. It's really starting to come along. You can kind of get a little sneak peek as far as some of the patches that we've been doing along the way as well. But please like, subscribe, comment down below things that you want to see. We should be getting inside here hopefully in the next week or two. So thank you guys. The comments are appreciated. And until next time, see you guys out there.